Welcome to PayPod, the show that features thought-provoking interviews with leaders and entrepreneurs in the payments and financial technology industries. From credit card processing to Bitcoin, we cover it all. So if you want to know what's happening right now in the payments industry, stay tuned. Now, here's your host, Scott Hawksworth.
Hey there, PayPod listeners. Scott here again with a new episode for you. And in this episode, though, we're going to be doing something a little different. Instead of just one guest, we have two. And instead of focusing on a specific subject in business, we're going to be talking about a payments industry conference that I attended on the 25th and 26th of July last month called the Midwest Acquirers Association Conference. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the Midwest Acquirers Conference is an annual payments industry conference put on by the Midwest Acquirers Association, or MWAA, which is a nonprofit, no-membership, independent forum dedicated to payment professionals. The MWAA was founded on the belief that it is important to educate payment professionals, such as ISOs, MSPs, and financial institutions, with the constantly changing information the payments industry dictates. They are committed to bringing this information by involving all aspects of their community. Now, the 2018 MWAA conference took place at the Chicago Marriott downtown on the Magnificent Mile. And over 2 days, there were a number of fantastic presentations, an excellent exhibition where payments professionals from all over the country gathered to network and champion their products and services, and so much more. Personally, I really enjoyed walking around the exhibition hall and meeting folks while seeing so many different payments industry businesses. Everything from the big guys like American Express Merchant Services down to smaller shops just getting started were represented. Be sure to stay tuned in the coming weeks too, as there will be some guests from companies that I met at the MWAA on the show. Oh, and to answer one question I know that is on everyone's mind, yes, there was swag, and yes, I have quite a few shiny new pens. But in all seriousness, beyond that, I found a number of the talks in particular really interesting, like one from Barry Davis at the business called Womply, who shared how those who provide merchant services can help small businesses sleep better at night. It shouldn't be surprising that small businesses have a lot of worries. And if you have a product or service that can help alleviate those, make their business easier to manage, etc., you're going to do very well in the industry. Another fascinating, if somewhat unnerving talk was all about cybercrime, where Brett Johnson, a former cybercriminal, talked about all the ways that your information can be at risk and the ways in which cybercriminals operate. Given episodes we've had on PayPod about security, particularly our most recent one about digital fraud, this talk was a true eye-opener for all payments professionals to the importance of security in financial technology. So with all that said, I also was fortunate to conduct a few interviews while at the MWAA. The first was with Philomey, the National Sales Manager at South Seas Data LLC, and my second was with Andrew Russell, who is the President of Sound Payments. I was able to learn a bit more about their businesses and why having a presence at a fantastic conference like the MWAA was so important to them. Listen in. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Scott here with you live from the MWAA conference, and I am so happy to be speaking with Philomey from the South Seas Data LLC. Pete, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
And to start us off, can you give us a brief overview of South Seas Data at a high level? What does your company do for businesses, and who are your customers?
Fantastic. So South Seas Data is a Denver-based company that specializes in depot services. And what is depot services? Depot services is fulfillment, order processing, procurement, inventory management, and the likes. And we are part of the General Credit Forums family of companies. And you all know in this space who General Credit Forums is, of course. And we kind of specialize in this niche. There's a lot of folks out there that provide hardware support and services. We take it to the next level. We do retrievals, we do repairs, inventory management, lots of reporting, custom stuff. Our niche market traditionally has been in the check cashing world, supporting the likes of Western Union, Fidelity, RIA, Via Americas, and some others, and we're taking it and expanding it into this space, helping with POS systems folks that are putting out a PC-based POS system with lots of peripherals and that just don't want to deal with the hardware support and management.
And, before we go further, can you tell us just a little bit about your career and how you ended up at South Seas Data?
Oh, my goodness. That's a long story. I don't think we have enough time for that. But I love the Midwest. It's a whole room full of people that are career veterans. And once you pulled into the industry, it's just fantastic. And it really is family. I started in the industry in the late 1980s.
Not dating yourself.
Not dating myself at all and stuff. Totally a geek and that sort of thing. And I've used that base of being a geek and whatnot. I used to work technical services and run a technical department for an ISO back in New Jersey, and moved on to doing technical services for a company that we once knew and loved called Hypercom. There for a while. After Hypercom, I went over to MagTech and transitioned at Hypercom into sales and went into a sales role at MagTech for about 12, 15 years. And then most recently joined South Seas Data back in September of last year, promoting our depot technical services to folks.
Fantastic. So obviously a lot of experience in the industry in and around it. And, I'm curious, what brings you guys to, MWAA? What are you hoping to learn or accomplish while you guys are here?
Well, because we support so many folks out there in the industry, and we're always getting asked, what is the best POS? What are some new, things that are going on in the industry from a hardware support, from technical support? What can you show us and that sort of thing. So it's always good to keep on top of the industry, and the regional shows such as the Midwest are very intimate. You get to talk to people one-on-one. You're not in a crazy expensive city, and it's just, really bonding with your peeps, as they say.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Now, can you tell us, how's the conference going for you so far? I mean, I guess it sounds like it's probably going pretty well, but can you tell us about maybe products or a business or a talk that's really blown your mind or really was interesting to you?
Again, it's family. It's just seeing a lot of people that you see at these conferences and once a year, and somebody that I saw here I haven't seen in 5 years or more. We started in the industry together, 30 years ago, and it's like, holy, pick a word. How you doing? And stuff. And the conference really has been great for us in talking to people, because there's software POS folks that are here, and they're saying our knowledge, our expertise is on software and providing a great POS system, but we don't want to deal with the hardware. Can you help us with hardware deployment and management and that sort of thing? And it's a resounding yes. So we've got a number of leads that I'm hoping to follow up on and make come through, and it's just been a great show. The show ended right now. I would say it's been a great show already.
You'd say it was a success.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
Awesome. That's a good sign if you can say that at this point.
Yeah.
So can you peer into the crystal ball? Where do you see South Seas Data in, say, 5 to 10 years? Are there any long-term projects you're working on or overall goals that you can share, things coming down the pipeline that you think your customers might really benefit from?
From the South Seas perspective, we're a niche player in the market. There's lots of folks out there that provide hardware and just buy equipment, that sort of thing. We take it to the next level. We provide them the full support for their product line, inventory management, procurement, all of the above. So we're really well positioned to support the ISO community, the POS. The ISOs are expanding to lock in the merchants into their business. And the direction that a lot of them have gone into is the higher level POS systems versus the countertop terminal that they've used. They're more intricate, there are more pieces in there, and we come and we take the support for them and handle that for them, seamlessly.
Absolutely. That's awesome. A lot of times industry conferences like MWAA can give you an overview of an industry that uniquely lets you see trends. And I'm curious, has anything stuck out to you in terms of trends in payment tech, the payments industry structure, et cetera, based on this conference? And what are you seeing?
I think the trend that's going on, and it's been one that's been going on for a couple years and will continue to grow further, is contactless. The likes of the Apple Pay, the Google Wallet, those type of payments. More devices are supporting it. More merchants are saying to their providers, we need to support tap. So that's really the strongest continued trend, I think, that I'm seeing in the market.
Absolutely. So we've got some rapid fire questions that we love to ask about payments, ISOs, and more. So number one, make a prediction about the future of payments that you expect will happen in the next 1 to 4 years.
Continued tap.
That's
the number one, tap.
Number two, in the next 5 years, do you think most Americans will make a purchase with either Bitcoin, Apple Pay, Google Pay, some other thing? Which one and why?
The tap payments, the Apple Pay to Google Pay, Samsung Pay, those will continue to gain as people upgrade their phones and they have the technology. One of the great things about both Apple Pay and Google Pay is that they provide a token for the actual transaction. So it's the most secure possible transaction that you can have. If somebody were to violate that particular transaction, they get one transaction out of you versus getting your card number and then, you see it being used all over the world and that sort of thing. So it's really a secure way of paying, and stuff. As far as Bitcoin, I think it's still a fad. People aren't comfortable with it yet. They don't know what it is. Most people, yes, what is Bitcoin? Well, I don't know. It's not backed by any big entity out there. It's not backed by any government or Visa itself or anybody. So it's really an unknown still at this point. Who knows what 5 years will bring, but I think it's kind of a fad, certainly for the next couple of years.
Sure. And the other thing I would say just on Bitcoin, and again, who knows with these cryptocurrencies where things can go. But I think one of the problems, too, is when it's so volatile, the value of it. Like, that is really hard to accept. I mean, there's this company called Steam that sells video games online, and they had to stop taking Bitcoin because it was too difficult to process a payment and okay, well, you paid whatever 5 Bitcoin for this, and now it's worth something crazy, and it was a nightmare.
Such fluctuation in the value of Bitcoin that again, today one Bitcoin is worth $100. In a week, it could be worth 500, and then the following week it's worth 50. It's up and down all over the place. And how do you have a stable economy based on a currency that is going up and down by that amount? There's countries that haven't had that number of variances in their value, stuff.
Absolutely. And, they may figure it out, so who knows, but for now, maybe not.
Yep.
So I'm curious, what's one piece of advice you would have for someone who is considering the payments industry as a career?
Do it. Run. Don't walk.
Run towards it.
Run toward it. Get yourself with the reputable ISO. Learn the ropes, build your portfolio. The big, wonderful word in this industry is residuals. So you build up that portfolio, you get those residuals coming on, you take care of your customers, their voice, their ear. Merchants are very savvy these days. They have the internet, they have lots of sources to find out information, but they're still having that local rep that you can call Mike and say, what is the trend? What can I do? I'm having a problem. People are asking about this thing called Apple Pay. What is it? How do I get it? Versus just randomly looking at so much information on the internet, a lot of misinformation on the internet, and being a rep for the ISO really is a strong starting point.
Absolutely. My last question. What's the best thing about working in the payments industry and attending a conference like MWAA? And as I ask this question, I think I may know the answer, but what is the best thing?
Family.
Yeah.
It's just, I've been involved in the industry for many years, and just some amazing people that I've crossed paths and call my friends, the McCormicks, Jim and John McCormick at GCF. Dale Lassick, that I've worked with on and off over the years, and she writes for some of the industry publications. Marty McMully and Carl Cotto, Alan Forgione. I can give you all these names, and these are just great people that you can call and you need advice on something or an industry trend or whatnot. We're all family here, and somebody new coming in, you're going to say the same thing in 5 years. So-and-so helped me, gave me the way, gave me a few pointers, and it's an awesome niche industry.
Love it. I wanted to thank you so much for sitting down with me and just telling me about your experiences here and what you guys are doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So there you have it. And a little later during the conference, I had an opportunity to speak by phone to Andrew Russell, who is the president of Sound Payments. Andrew chatted with me about their business and why sending a sales team to a conference like the MWAA is so beneficial. So listen in. Scott here again, live from the MWAA conference, and I am so happy to be joined by phone by Andrew Russell, who is the president of Sound Payments. Andrew, how are you doing today?
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. Well, to start us off, can you give us just a brief overview of Sound Payments? At a high level, what does your company do and who are your customers?
Sure. Well, our company is a technology company. Started about 2 years ago. And although we're a young company, we have rapidly evolved from providing services into the payments industry only to a truly diversified company. We have three verticals that we provide value to. One is the payments industry. We've created our quantum cloud solution with our commerce segment, basically providing point of sales and integration capabilities between point of sales and payment terminals with quite a bit added value. Then we have the healthcare vertical, which basically provides integrated payment solutions into practice management platforms, as well as benefit verifications and recurring billing, all integrated for the medical field. And lastly, over the past 2 years, we've developed a state-of-the-art platform for the banking industry for consumer and commercial banking. We have an online mobile banking system as well as branch automation services. So we truly are not dependent on one line of business only, and we look for ways to integrating and connecting the dots to add even greater value to our customers. In the first 2 years, we have over 12,000 subscribers already doing business with Sound Payments. So a great deal of success, very proud to be leading the team.
That's incredible. Now, before we go further, can you tell me just a little bit more about your career and how you ended up in your role at Sound Payments?
Sure, thank you. Well, I'm a professional banker. I've been in banking 26 years, and I've done everything from leading a branch banking center to being a regional manager, being a territory manager in the consumer banking area. I've worked in capital markets. I've worked in international banking and also in commercial lending, commercial banking, positions anywhere from VP to executive vice president. I was CEO of an institution in Maryland, and I met a group of investors, and I decided to take a leap of faith and really enter the technology field. I've been also serving in the military for 33 years, 8.5 of active duty, where I got exposed to technology. I was a cryptologist, and I learned binary mathematics, did some programming there before my banking career started.
Wow, that's definitely a wide-ranging career and a lot of experience. That's awesome. Now, I'm curious, what brings Sound Payments to MWAA? What are you guys hoping to accomplish when you send your team here?
Well, we've been participating over the past year to the major shows, and this year we made a decision to start participating not only on the national major shows around the country, but also in the regional shows and more localized shows. And that included the Midwestern show. And basically what we accomplish and what our goals are when we go to shows is to network, to make new connections, and to really educate people and share the great things that we're doing in the industry and how we want to add value. So for us, we're not just seeking clients. We are seeking to build relationships, and through relationships continue to make our company very special, as well as to contribute to the growth of our customers.
Absolutely. It's interesting you say relationships, because I've talked to other folks around here at the conference, and they've talked about the family aspect and the idea that, you meet people and you forge these relationships, and it's not just about driving the business forward. It's about really making an impact in the industry as a whole and helping people reach their goals. And I think that's so incredible. And it makes sense that you guys have sent people out to do that this year and really kind of made a concerted effort to do that, right?
No, absolutely. And I tell you, my team has been keeping me in the loop of some of the conversations and meetings they've had there at the show. And they're extremely happy, and they've really are getting to know some new prospects and hopefully customers soon to be. But things are going really well. We really appreciate the opportunity to be there.
That's awesome. So, okay, I'm going to ask you to peer into the crystal ball. Where do you see Sound Payments in, say, 5 to 10 years? Are there any long-term projects you're working on or overall goals that you can share, things maybe coming down the pipeline that you think your customers might really benefit from?
Sure. I think as we continue to grow and develop services, our customers will be very interested to start offering new services and capabilities to the end users. So, for example, some of our customers already want to learn more about our capabilities in the healthcare industry, and they want to start offering those services and capabilities to their own customers. Some of our customers are choosing to pursue a path of white labeling with us and making our product their own product. So there's a lot of excitement in the things that we're doing in the healthcare industry and also in the payments industry with new technology, being able to integrate to RMS systems, restaurant management systems, to be able to integrate to our cloud solution directly to accounting packages, and to continue to add value, to provide basically batching insurance, to provide business intelligence, analytics, a number of things that normally are not readily available to customers.
Absolutely. That is really awesome. And clearly a lot of things, big things chopping, as they say, for you guys. So, okay, now I have a section where we do just some quick rapid fire questions that we love to ask about payments and ISOs and that. So my first question is, can you make a prediction about the future of payments? What you expect might happen in the next 1 to 4 years?
Sure. I think payments is going to evolve very rapidly in the next 1 to 4 years, and it's going to transition more to biometrics and near field communications, more so than hard plastic, more so than just a smartphone. There's other applications and other technologies currently being developed, and we are developing one of those solutions that will be available here in the near future. And we're partnering up with some technology partners and already talking to a major nationwide retailer about our soon-to-be disclosed development. So there's a lot of evolution in the technology that people are not even imagining, right? That it might be also a combination of multiple things. Biometrics along with face recognition and the like.
Absolutely. Okay, next question. In the next 5 years, do you think that most Americans will make a purchase with either Bitcoin, Apple Pay, Google Pay, some other thing? Which one and why?
I think Americans are already making lots of purchases with Google Pay and Apple Pay, but I think there's going to be a transition period to something else both beyond Google Pay and Apple Pay. And those technologies are currently being developed. So I think there's a lot of work being done to eliminate dependencies on just the traditional way of payments. And we've seen that with the smartphones, and now I think we're going to see the next generation of invention and innovation being provided to the average American.
Absolutely. Okay, I've got only 2 more quick questions. The second to last one is, what is one piece of advice that you have for someone who is considering the payments industry as a career and getting into this and working in it and coming to shows like MWAA and so on?
Yeah, don't think about a product, think about value. And if we think about value, we're going to be able to really create new things, right? I think success in the industry depends on critical thinking, depends on creativity, and also depends on connecting those two and producing value. So that's what we got to be thinking about. It's not about, pushing product. It's not about pricing alone. You got to really have a differentiator, and you got to believe in what you're doing coming in this industry, and then things will really start picking up momentum.
I love it. Okay, my last question. What is the best thing about working in the payments industry?
The best thing for me is fast pace and the ability to create, and to create through teams. I mean, it's not a one-man show. It's not a single effort. It's a multitude of efforts taking place at the same time, and it's like a very competitive race taking place throughout the industry, but it's having the ability to bring it all together at the end to produce something very special to deliver to the market.
That's a great thought, and I think that's a great reason to work in the industry. Andrew, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me on the show today. This was really, really informative.
Scott, I just can't say thank you enough. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
All right, so that wraps up our show for this week. If you are in the payments industry and haven't yet been to a conference like this, like the MWAA, I highly recommend you consider it. And if you've got a business in the field, then I'd almost insist you consider attending or sending a team to it. If you missed out on the MWAA this year, don't worry, because they'll be back next year, July 17th and 18th of 2019. And this time it's going to be at the Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center Hotel, once again in fabulous Chicagoland. And lastly, if you want to learn more about the conference, do check them out at midwestacquirers.com.
Thank you for listening to another episode of PayPod, brought to you by Soar Payments. Soar Payments is a leading merchant services provider for e-commerce, high-risk, and hard-to-place businesses. If you'd like to get the latest PayPod episodes sent to you automatically, subscribe to the show via iTunes or Stitcher, or visit soarpay.com/podcast.